Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Warst du gestern hier
Ja,
und hast du
es war
gelesen?
eine Audio-Lecture.
Aha.
Also zwischen und gestern und vorgestern war eine Audio-Lecture.
Okay, dann machen wir es so, wie ich es geplant habe. So, today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 20. And seeing as how we did not have live lectures yesterday and the day before, I thought I'll just read. I'll just read from the beginning of the chapter the verses, and then the purports of the verses that we didn't do. Okay, so the chapter is called Bali Maharaj Surrenders the Universe. And text 1 says, Sri Goswami said, O King Parikshit, when Bali Maharaj was thus advised by his spiritual master Shukracharya, his family priest, he remained silent for some time, and then, after full deliberation, he replied to his spiritual master as follows. So we've just had a whole chapter on the arguments of Shukracharya, why not to give 3 steps of lamb to Vamanadev, and now Ali Maharaj is answering. Second verse. Bali Maharaj said, as you have already stated, the principle of religion that does not hinder one's economic development, sense gratification, fame, and means of livelihood is the real occupational duty of the householder. I also think that this religious principle is correct. 3. And that's the verse that Rajendra Kumar Prabhu talked about on Tuesday. I am the grandson of Maharaj Prahlad. How can I withdraw my promise because of greed for money when I have already said that I shall give this land? How can I behave like an ordinary cheater, especially toward a Brahmana? 4. So, I'll just read the Sanskrit and then the verse in the purport, and we'll go up until 7. Okay. Naya satyat paro dharma iti hovacha pur sarvam sodum alam aman manye rite lika param naram. There is nothing more sinful than untruthfulness. Because of this, Mother Earth once said, I can bear any heavy thing except a person who is a liar. Purport. On the surface of the earth, there are many great mountains and oceans that are very heavy, and Mother Earth has no difficulty carrying them. But she feels very much overburdened when she carries even one person who is a liar. It is said that in Kali Yuga, lying is a common affair. Um, Mai Ma Yaiva Vyava Harike. This is from Bhagavatam 12:2-3. Even in the most common dealings, people are accustomed to speaking so many lies. No one is free from the sinful reactions of speaking lies. Under the circumstances, one can just imagine how this has overburdened the earth and indeed the entire universe. Verse 5. Naham bibemi nirayan nadanyat asukar navat nastana Nastana chavanan mrityur yata vipra pralambanat. I do not fear hell, poverty, an ocean of distress, fall down from my position, or even death itself as much as I fear cheating a Brahmana. 6. Yat yatasyati lokesmin sampa, samparitam tanadikam tasya tyage nimitam kim. Nee, warte mal. Tasya tyage nimitam kim viprastusyennate nachet. My lord, you can also see that all the material opulence of this world are certainly separated from their possessor at death. Therefore, if the Brahmana Vamanadev is not satisfied by whatever gifts one has given, why not please him with the riches one is destined to lose at death? Purport. The word Vipra means Brahmana and at the same time confidential. Bali Maharaj had confidentially decided to give the gift to Lord Vamanadev without discussion, but because such a decision would hurt the hearts of the Asuras and his spiritual master Shukracharya, he spoke equivocally. Equivocally means a little bit indirectly. Bali Maharaj, as a pure devotee, had already decided to give all the land to Lord Vishnu. Okay, now we get to 7. Shreya Karvanti Putanam Sadavo Dustya Yasubi Dadyan Shibi Pra Dadyan Shibi Praritaya Go Vikalpo Duradishu Daradishu. Okay, we'll just do it once. Shreya activities. Activities of the utmost importance. Kurvanti, execute. Bhutanam, of the general mass of people. Sadavaha, the saintly persons. Dustyaya, actually it's Dustyaja. Ja, weil diese J ist J. Which are extremely hard to give up. Asubi, by their lives. Dadyan, Maharaj Dadichi. Shibi, Maharaj Shibi. Prabritaya, and similar great personalities. Gaha, what? Vikalpaha, consideration. Dara Adishu, in giving the land to the Brahmana. Okay. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Dadichi Shibi and many other great personalities were willing to sacrifice even their lives for the benefit of people in general. This is the evidence of history, so why not give up this insignificant land? What is the serious consideration against it? Report. Bali Maharaj was prepared to give everything to Lord Vishnu, and Shukracharya, being a professional priest, might have been anxiously waiting, doubting whether there had been any such instance in history in which one had given everything in charity. Bali Maharaj, however, cited the tangible examples of Maharaj Shibi and Maharaj Dadichi, who had given up their lives for the benefit of the general public. Certainly, one has attachment for everything material, especially one's land, but land and other possessions are forcibly taken away at the time of death. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Mrityu Sarva Harashchayam. The Lord personally appeared to Bali Maharaj to take away everything he had, and thus he was so fortunate that he could see the Lord face to face. Non devotees, however, cannot see the Lord face to face. To such persons, the Lord appears as death and takes away all their possessions by force. Under the circumstances, why should we not part with our possessions and deliver them to Lord Vishnu for his satisfaction? Sri Chanakya Pandit says in this regard, San nimite varam tyago vinashe niyate sati. Chanakya Shloka 36. Since our money and possessions do not last, but will somehow or other be taken away, as long as they are in our possession, it is better to use them for charity to a noble cause. Therefore, Bali Maharaj defied the order of his so-called spiritual master. Om Agyanatimirandasya Ginanjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadam Hayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganara Gunatam Vitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Niveshesha Shunyavadi Pashachari Shtarine Vanchakopaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavbhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Karara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. Okay. So what we have learned today is number 4, that Mother Bhumi cannot tolerate lying, which is not a good message for us because we are in Kali Yuga, which means it is the age of lying and cheating and quarrel. So it's kind of second nature to us to lie. And even though Sometimes we think, oh, it's just a little white lie, or we sometimes it's not a straight out lie, it's just you choose your words so that it's not, so that you sort of don't have to tell the truth. And this is all a burden to Mother Bhumi. Um, yeah, so we have to meditate on how to be honest. And then um, yeah, Bali Maharaj says, I do not fear hell, poverty, an ocean of distress, fall down from a position, or even death itself as much as I fear cheating a Brahmana. Because the Brahmanas they are the head of the society, and they also have great spiritual power. And if you cheat them, life will not go well for you. Um, yeah. And then on today's verse, or yes, so verse 6, it's an interesting question that, yeah, okay, so if we're going to lose everything anyway, if we, all our possessions at that time of death is going to be taken away from us. You come into this world naked, you leave naked. And not just physically, but also just you have nothing. You can take nothing with you except your spiritual, um, your bhakti points. That's what you take with you. But in terms of your material possessions, it's going to be taken away from you anyway. So the logic is that if it's going to be taken away at the end of death, at the end of life, at death, you can just as well offer everything to Krishna now, um, so that you don't have to have that burden of things that you carry with you. And number 7, Bali Maharaj cites two Maharajas, Maharaj Dadichi and Dadichi Rishi and Shibi Maharaj. They were two very important figures. And I'm wondering, Genstudi, do you know who Shibi Maharaj and Dadichi is? Okay, so Shibi Maharaj was a king, and in order to test him, Agni Dev and Indra took the form of a dove and a hawk. So a dove, Taube, diese Vogel. So the dove is obviously the prey of the hawk. The hawk eats the dove, and the pigeon actually, not a dove, a pigeon came to Shibi Maharaj to take shelter. And Shibi Maharaj said, no worries, I'll protect you. And the hawk says, wait, I need food, so I mean, you have to give me something. And Shibi Maharaj said, no worries, I'll give you whatever this pigeon weighs, I'll give you the same amount of my own flesh. So he cut off a piece of his flesh and put it on a scale so that they know they're not cheating. But I think the story goes that the pigeon just became heavier and heavier, so Shivi Maharaj had to give more and more, and it was absolutely no problem to him. And in the end, he was going to give up his life. But it's a test to see, is he really as magnanimous as he says he is? And he, for the sake of protecting, because he took his kingly duties very seriously. So even for a pigeon, not even a human being, he was willing to give up his life. And Dadichi Rishi was a rishi, and now I forget the name. Vitrasura when Indra had to kill Vitrasura. Vitrasura was an enormous demon, and he was basically unkillable. And Indra went to ask for help. I think he went to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma said, the only weapon that can kill Vitrasura is a thunderbolt made from the bones of Dadichi Maharaj. So you have to go to him, you have to ask him for his bones, and then you will be able to kill Vitrasura. And Dadichi was meditating at that moment, because the thing is that he was meditating for so long that his austerities and his punya and his power was all in his bones, in his skeleton. And then the demigods went to him and asked him very nicely, it's like, I'm so sorry, but we need your bones. And he's like, yeah, sure. And he immediately, poof, he self-incinerated, he burned himself, and they took the bones and they made the weapon. And at the end, Vitrasura was killed. So, I mean, to think about, basically your life is the highest price that you can pay for anything. So these two people were not. I mean, Bali Maharaj, he's just thinking about giving the universe. He's not. It's. I mean, the question is he going to lose his life, or what's his punishment going to be if he can't pay? But we're just talking about 3 steps of land. So he's quoting these great personalities who gave their lives in order to do the right thing. And Shukracharya was thinking, nah, no one does that. But here are two very, very powerful examples of giving giving up everything. So and then the last thing is that Bali Maharaj was able to see Vamanadev face to face. So for most people, even for the atheists, the way that God shows himself, the way that the Lord shows himself is death, because that's the one thing that no one can escape. Everybody, according to our own abilities, think that okay, we do think that we are invincible. I can remember when my dad was um, diagnosed with cancer. Um, it was amazing. Because I mean, obviously, he was devastated. But in one, after he got used to the idea, his his thought pattern was then, okay, so in my life as a policeman, I've been shot at, I've been stabbed, I've been spat at, someone spat at him, I've been almost blown up by a landmine, I've been whatever. So, and his thought was, okay, so what's this now? Like, what's this cancer? Cancer is just one more thing. Which was a great way of seeing it, because most people, especially the kshatriyas, they're not scared of being shot at. I mean, if a building is burning or if there's some kind of trouble, they run towards the trouble. Most people run the other way. But kshatriyas, they are trained to go into trouble. So being shot at, being stabbed, being whatever, not a problem. That's just part of life. But if you have to give up your life, if the thing is, and that's something that they cannot win. So most kshatriyas or most people think that, yeah, shuffs, I can do this, I can win this, whatever it is. But if it's to do with death and giving up your life, that's the ultimate fight. So Yeah, so if you can get to the point where you can even give up your life without fear, then that's basically the moment we are Krishna conscious. Because the only reason why you wouldn't be afraid is if you are fully convinced that what comes next is better and more lasting than what you have right now. So, yeah, Bali Maharaj wasn't afraid, even though he wasn't asked to give up his life. Not in the sense that he would give up his body, but he did give up his life in one sense because Vamana Dev then put his foot on his head, which means that he's completely conquered. Yeah, and then the last sentence is also very heavy. Therefore, Bali Maharaj defied, meaning he did the opposite. He wasn't obedient. He defied the order of his so-called spiritual master. So-called spiritual master because he didn't actually give him spiritual advice. He gave him the advice that was good for him as well. So for Shukracharya wanted the material benefit of being the family priest, and therefore he gave the advice that he gave is not to give up everything. So he wasn't really a spiritual master in the sense that we know that our spiritual masters. So what we can learn from this is we can see from the example of our spiritual masters that they are not a burden to Mother Earth in the sense that they are thoroughly honest. They live their lives with honesty, and honestly, that's the heaviest verse of the whole sequence that I read is just how much of a burden it is to Mother Bhumi when people lie, because it's such an everyday thing to us. We don't think about it mostly, and sometimes we don't even realize that what we're doing is actually a lie. We think it's not, but it, sometimes it is. Um, so what I take from this is, number one, we have to really pray to Krishna to help us be honest, because Dharma or truth is the only thing that's still standing. And especially you'll see now in the next few years, or even now already, that the rise of AI is going to make that even more difficult to know what artificial intelligence, KI, künstliche Intelligenz, that's going to make it even more difficult to know what the truth is. Um, and also it's going to take, yeah, there I don't know, we don't know what the consequences will be, but truthfulness, the last leg of the bull dharma, is truthfulness, and that is even under attack. So we as devotees have to really, really endeavor to be as truthful and as sincere and as authentic as possible, because that's the one quality. Mercy is the other quality, but truthfulness is going to become even more important, because it's being taken away by society as society develops. And the other thing is that we all our possessions our talents, everything that we have, subtly and materially and physically and spiritually and psychologically, everything's going to be taken away at the end of life. Shishi Radha Madan Mohan Ki Jai. So at the end of life, it's going to be taken away anyway. So we can just as well give it to Krishna now, which is very difficult because we are very attached. um, but it's such a hopeful thing to just think about how light we'll feel if we know, okay, Krishna, take. Because Krishna is not going to misuse it. He's not going to throw it away. He's even going to put it to better use than you can. So, um, and I can see it now. My mom's also now clearing out the house, getting rid of stuff so that we don't have to do it when she goes. But she's already getting rid of stuff, and it's it is a it is difficult, but it's also freeing. Es ist befreiend. So we can give it to Krishna because that is the safest place that we can put everything we have. All your possessions, if you give it to Krishna, you know that it's in the safest place possible, and it's not going to go to waste, and he's going to use it in a better way than you can. So yeah, telling the truth and giving up our possessions now already. That is the summary of today's lecture, which I'm not very good at, but it's good to think about it. It's that's the task, is to develop those qualities, truthfulness and surrender. Okay, so that's it. Any thoughts? Any questions?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Kamala. I'm very thankful that we had a nice class today because yesterday, as I was writing the verse and reading already the translation and the purpose, I thought, yeah, this is really my topic I have to learn. Like, my attachment issues I have. Also, I'm struggling since longer. And my first question for myself was why I'm doing this. Also, in my case, to ignore them. And I had no answer why I'm doing this. And then, after I was reading this verse and this translation, yeah, why not give it to Krishna? And I had also the conclusion, like you said, there's no better place to give it to Krishna. Now, the possessions it would not be so difficult for me, but this, if you have every day to deal with this pushing of the senses, and the mind, so how can I give this already now? Because it's totally clear I have to give it up at the end of life. How can I give it? Can I come closer to give it now already?
I think you're already doing a lot because you're engaging it in Krishna's service. I mean, you can't. Okay, so you have a problem with your body can't take food anymore. Not really, but you are all forever feeding other people, and you're feeding them with prasadam, which is it's one thing to do charity and give people food, but it's a totally different thing giving them spiritualized food, prasadam, and that's the best thing. So I mean, I'm forever getting stuff from you that I cannot repay, which makes me feel extremely guilty. But the propensity, your propensity to okay, I can't eat it, but I give it to other people. It may not feel like it helps, but it already helps. Um, yeah. So, and then just to carry on. I mean, the that's the. I mean, in I think Nectar of Instruction, the very first verse is says that anybody who can control their tongue, and it's not just in speech but also tasting. And the devotees are so used to having prasadam that we don't think of it anymore as controlling. It's just that's just how it is. But already it is. I mean, if you think most people, if they want something, they buy it, they eat it, they don't even pray for it. Usually, if you grow up Christian like I did, at least you pray for it before you eat it. But most people, they don't even do that. They just put in. So the fact that we don't put anything in ourselves, in our bodies, that we haven't offered first. Um, and obviously there are levels to that. I mean, you can Sri Vishnu it three times, or you can say three times Hare Krishna. I mean, I've been in situations, especially when I was still working. I had such lovely colleagues. Like, they were the best colleagues that I've ever had in my life. These as a group of women that I worked with. And obviously in South African culture we share a lot. So if someone brings something to work to eat, or someone gives you something, then the culture is that you give it back. And so I would bring prasadam, and then obviously they would want to reciprocate, but I can't eat everything that they give me. So I had to sort of teach them, okay, if you want to give me something, what you can give. So one day someone brought me these like gemüse chips, and they're like, look, there's no oil, there's just oil, there's no zwiebel, there's no nothing, you can eat it. I'm like, and then obviously then I would take it and I would offer it and I would eat it, because or they would bring me nuts or something. And then one day we were having a visiting, one of my friends, my bhakta leader, was giving a class on religion for the university, and he was visiting. And my one friend, my one colleague, was very chuffed with herself. She was very proud of herself, and she's like, I spent the whole night baking vegan muffins. And I thought, oh, and they do it because they want to please you. So I'm not, at that stage, I'm not going to say no. So I just did the quickest Mahaprasadam Govinde prayer that I ever did in my life, while I was making the tea. So that and I don't think, I think I mean, that's like, you can't do that with everything. You have to do it properly. But in sort of emergency cases, then that would also. But the point is that you know that whatever is in front of you, you can't take it before Krishna has taken it, and that already is a controlling of the senses.
A kind of protection also.
Yes, yes, yes. So it may not feel like you're doing a lot, but you are already doing a lot. Number one, just the fact that you bake things that you yourself cannot eat and then give it to other people, that's a great austerity. I don't know if I can do it. I'm like, sorry. So yeah, I mean, the answer that you always get is the same: is just do what you do. And nobody's, I mean, we all have our, I don't want to say demons, but we all have our difficulties. And nowhere Krishna says it's going to be easy. He does not say it's going to be easy. Everybody has their burden to carry. Everybody, even the Christians say, everybody has their cross to bear. You have your stuff to carry, and no one says it's going to be easy. Krishna says he'll help, and he helps us by giving us prasad, by giving us the prayers in which to make prasad, or he gives us what we need in order to deal with what we have to deal with. And The point is, this is the material world. So this thing, it can it becomes easier to deal with. It'll never go away, not until you give up your body. But and I'm talking about everybody. I'm not talking about you specifically, but our burdens will always be there. Krishna can take it away if he wants to, but this is the material world, and this material world is made for difficulty. It's made of difficulty. So um, I just spoke to someone recently who's going. I mean, her life's not easy, and she said that the only prayer that these days that she prays is, um, okay, Krishna, whatever comes, help me to tolerate it. Just help me to accept it, help me to tolerate it. Bas. That's the only prayer you can prayer that you can pray is just whatever is going to come, because it's such a mixed bag of blessings and curses and suffering, that whatever is going to come is perfect, because that's what this world is made for. This world isn't made for happiness. It's made for, it's a correctional facility. It's the prison house of the universe. And in prison, you suffer and you are given things that you have to deal with. And that's just the way it is. And it's perfect like that, because without it, we won't think of Krishna. I mean, we won't even the, what's it called? Um, the 12-step program of addicts. If you are an addict, whether it's alcohol or drugs or whatever, gambling, whatever, there's a 12-step program. And the very first thing, the very first step, obviously, is to acknowledge that you have a problem, you have an addiction. And the second step is I can't remember the exact words, but the prayer is that they know they cannot deal with it without a higher help, whether it's God, whether it's Allah, where you you admit that you yourself cannot deal with this problem by yourself. You need spiritual help for it. And if we didn't have these sufferings, if we didn't have these burdens to bear, then we wouldn't take shelter. So obviously we can pray. I mean, Adipurusha Prabhu also once said that sometimes you can pray to Krishna and says, okay, just not all at once. Just, I know that I'm going to get it, but just don't give it to me all at once. Just you can be honest to Krishna and says, okay, now it's getting, I can't do it, or just please help me. But it's a way in which Krishna keeps us. It's not him doing it, but that's how the world works. Is that our sufferings, more than our happiness, keeps us closer to Krishna, because what are we usually we pray for something that we don't have, or something that we are struggling with. So einfach weitermachen. That's
Yeah,
what we
yeah, yeah.
can.
So for me, I found regarding these 12 points, and you said that I found myself, also that I recognize I have not the strong desire to give it up.
Yeah, but that's the
This is
other
the
thing, is you
problem.
can you can also pray to Krishna for the desire
For
to
the
give.
desire, yeah,
Yeah.
because yesterday Bhakti Shastri course on it of devotion, and then for me it came the message out that as long our hearts are impure, we cannot have these pure desires. Maybe therefore it's always said that carry on, simply carry on, that is the process of yoga, to purify the heart, and then
Yeah, we have to
hopefully
purify.
one
We
day.
have to purify our desires. Um, I'm just googling because I want to give the. I want to give the get the right words for the 12-step program. And I think actually there's a devotee who made the 12-step, who Krishnaized the 12-step program. But I can't. It's taking forever. But there's a okay, somehow somehow it's not supposed to be, because it doesn't work. Okay, so that's it. Is knowing that we can't do what we do without help, and to purify it. Anything we have that's impure or perverted, because that's what the material world does. It takes pure things and it perverts it. So we can think of it in a way that our attachments, somewhere in all that material pervertedness, there's a core. There's a core of it that's pure. So you can pray to Krishna and saying, okay, whatever this desire is, I know it's perverted, I know it's not pure, but please take the part that is pure. So I'm giving it to you. I know it's not the best, but inside there somewhere there's a pure part. So please take that and help me to. So, and then Krishna takes that pure part and he takes away piece by piece all the impure covering. Because our desires, if it's like, I don't know, for my problem is that I watch too much YouTube or stories. So, but I can take my propensity for stories and do something pure with it. It's very unpure now because, I mean, YouTube has not only good stories but also a lot of other stuff. But I can take that part. So any desire that you have, try and reverse it to think, okay, what's the actual thing? What's the pure thing? And then you can offer that to Krishna or ask him for help to get back to that, to just take away all the stuff that's unnecessary. And then, but it doesn't always happen at once. It's a process. Everything's a process. So, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Indradimna Maharaj ki jai. His Holiness. And thank you for everyone that is listening online.